All right, let's talk superfoods. We're always told to eat more of them, right? But what if I told you that one of the most celebrated ones, well, it holds a pretty dangerous secret? Today, we're going to look at how too much of a good thing can lead to a surprisingly serious medical problem. So, our story kicks off with a real medical mystery. Picture this: you start developing tremors, a shaking that you just can't control. Your first thought, and probably your doctor's too, would be to jump to some pretty well known neurological conditions. But what if the real cause is hiding in plain sight? Maybe right in your kitchen pantry. So, really, ask yourself, what if the source of these scary tremors wasn't some complex disease, but a simple dietary choice? Something you actually started eating because you thought it was good for you. And here's where things get really serious. The neurological symptoms, especially those tremors, look so much like Parkinson's disease that, believe it or not, misdiagnoses are pretty common. And that can lead to all sorts of unnecessary stress and the wrong treatments, all while the actual cause is just completely missed. Okay, it's time to reveal our culprit. And what's so wild about this is that we're talking about something that's almost universally praised for being healthy, especially for its anti-aging powers. The answer is, quite literally, a tough nut to crack.
Let's just start with a number. 6. Just think about that for a second. What could eating only 6 of anything possibly do to your body? It sounds like nothing, right? Totally insignificant. But in this case, 6 is an incredibly powerful dose.
That's right. Just eating 6 of this one particular nut, the one that's famous for its antioxidants and anti-aging benefits, well, that's enough to set off a major biological reaction. But what kind of reaction are we even talking about here? And this is the heart of the issue. 1,000%. Let that sink in. 6 of these nuts can slam your body with over 1,000% of the recommended daily value of a particular mineral. That is 10 times what you're supposed to have in an entire day, all from a tiny handful of a supposedly healthy snack. So, the nut we've been talking about? It's the Brazil nut. And look, this isn't some fringe theory. We've got medical professionals raising the alarm. As one surgeon puts it, this so-called healthy nut can directly lead to brain tremors when you overdo it. So how in the world does this happen? How does a natural food, something that grows on a tree, become a potential toxin? Let's get into the science of it and see what's actually happening inside your body when it gets overloaded with this mineral. The condition has a name. It's called selenosis. It's basically a toxic state that's caused by getting way too much of the mineral selenium. And guess what? Brazil nuts are, by a huge margin, the most powerful dietary source of it. A single nut can pack your entire day's worth, so you can see how easy it is to go overboard. Now, the way this works is really fascinating. The extra selenium doesn't just, pass through your system. Nope, it builds up, and it specifically loves to accumulate in the hippocampus. That's a super important part of your brain for memory and learning. And that buildup is what helps explain those scary neurological symptoms. And hey, the effects aren't just in your brain. Selenosis can cause a whole bunch of other symptoms. Everything from hair loss and brittle nails to skin rashes, fatigue, and even, weirdly enough, garlic-like breath. The tremors might be the most alarming symptom, but they're really just one piece of a much bigger puzzle of toxic effects. When you see the main symptom for both conditions laid out side by side like this, it becomes so obvious why a misdiagnosis can happen. A doctor sees neurological tremors, and their mind, understandably, goes straight to Parkinson's. They're not thinking about their patient's snacking habits. Okay, so the big takeaway here is not that Brazil nuts are bad. They're actually incredibly nutritious. It just comes down to that ancient saying, the dose makes the poison. It's all about knowing the limit and enjoying them safely.
So here's your simple guide to doing it right. First, know the limit. Just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day. That's it. That's the safe upper limit for most of us. Second, you've got to be aware of other sources, right? Check your multivitamins or any other supplements you take. You don't want to accidentally double up on selenium. And finally, maybe the most important thing, listen to your body. If you start to notice any of those early warning signs, that's your cue to cut back.
This whole Brazil nut paradox is just such a powerful reminder that natural doesn't automatically mean safe in any amount. And it leaves us with a really important question to think about. What other so-called superfoods do you have in your pantry right now that might have a hidden limit we should all know about?